Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sam, and today we will be talking about DNFs. Usually, I try to completely finish a book unless I really hate it, but sometimes things fall through the cracks. There are a lot of reasons to DNF a book, and not all of them are negative. Often I find myself shelving a story because I don't have the same energy I did when I started reading the book, or in general, I get really busy and I don't have time to finish a certain type of story. So, I've been sorting through my DNFs to see what forgotten gems have just been waiting to be reread, and I've come back with a few. The first DNF I want to mention is something I read back in junior high, and that is the Fallen series by Lauren Kate. Fallen centers around Luce Price, whose world is turned upside down when she is blamed for the fire that kills her camp crush and is thrown into Sword and Cross reform school. Luce gets dragged into some clique-type drama with her new school friends when she discovers that these people aren't all they seem to be. Soon, she is dragged into a centuries-old battle of angels, love, and reincarnation. The first book in the series came out in about 2009, and I read it a year later, and I completely devoured it. At the time, I had an obsession for love triangles and boarding school, so this book hit the sweet spot. I got the second book and completely finished that soon after, but I ended up shelving the series because I was beginning high school and it was just a lot. I remember the book having Twilight vibes, and while I'm not exactly excited for that, I do remember genuinely liking the book while I was reading it, even knowing that it was a bit cheesy. One of my goals for 2022 is to read more for pleasure, and this book definitely hits that feel-good sweet spot. Which is completely ironic, because the book is supposed to be about forbidden tragic love, but there's something about Fallen that gives you just enough to be entertained. I didn't have to work hard to read the book. Now, that's not to say that this book is simple. With the timelines and the way this book is written, it's a little complicated at times. However, it is more The Mortal Instruments mixed with Twilight than, say, Game of Thrones. Total, there are like 6 books in the series, so I'm excited to have a bit of content to come back to. There is this one book that's labeled as 3.5, and I know it was written the same year as, I believe, the 4th book, so I'm not sure in exactly which order to read them. If you've read the series, let me know what you recommend. Should I read 3.5 after 4? Should I wait until the entire series is done? Or should I read it in chronological order? Leave a comment down below if you've read the series, and let me know what you think is best. Next on my list for DNF rereads is a middle grade book called Sweet Miss Honeywell's Revenge by Catherine Rice. Okay, so I got this book at a Scholastic book fair, and honestly, my little 6th grade heart was shook. I think it's the first time that I read a horror book outside the realm of Goosebumps, and I absolutely loved it. Honeywell's Revenge is a book that takes place in both the past and the present, from the POV of 2 little girls, Primrose and Zibby. In the present, it's Zibby's 12th birthday, and she's allowed to get one present from herself from this big grand market that she's attending with her family. And for some reason, she chooses this antique dollhouse, even though she's never had an interest in dolls. When Zibby's friends begin to have strange accidents, she ties them back to the dollhouse and discovers that it's haunted. The author flashes between Zibby's time and Primrose's, occasionally flashing back to the year 1919. I love a good multiple POV in a book, and I especially enjoy the way that this one is paced. So then why is this in my DNF pile if I liked it so much? Well, like I said, this was a book that I had gotten at an end-of-year Scholastic book fair. And I had waited until the last couple days of school to start reading this, and I enjoyed it so much that I was bringing it to class every day to sneak in little bits as much as I could to read it. Unfortunately, the last day of school, I left it in my desk, and it vanished. I tried contacting the school, they had no idea where it was, and I was basically out of luck. I have no idea what happened to it, and because I was in 6th grade, I really didn't remember the title exactly, so looking it up pretty much wasn't an option either. I spent years trying to recall enough about this book to Google it to no avail. And suddenly, just like that, the title came back to me. I Googled it, and there it was, Sweet Miss Honeywell's Revenge. Like I said, I had been looking for years for this book. So now that I know what it's called and that it's actually the book that I was reading in 6th grade, I am so excited to reread this DNF. The last book I want to mention, The Black Book of Secrets, is also a middle grade novel. However, I didn't realize this when I first picked it up, so that's probably why I originally DNF'd it. I think it was my senior year of high school, and I was browsing the dollar store, and normally my dollar store doesn't have much literature-wise. A couple basic kids' books, a Bible or two, lots of coloring. But the cover of this book was so pretty that it drew my eye, and I just had to buy it, especially if it was only $1 at the dollar store. The general idea of this story is that there is a young boy named Ludlow who runs away from his home in the city to a rural village where he meets Joe Zibidoo, a secret pawnbroker. If you're looking to sell your secrets for some cash, Joe is your guy. As a reader, we follow Ludlow as he apprentices for Joe and records his client's secrets in the Big Black Book of Secrets. And along the way, we discover some of Ludlow's secrets as well. Like I said, I picked this book up from the dollar store, and for whatever reason, I just wasn't expecting it to be a middle grade. I had somehow convinced myself that it was going to be more of a horror book than it actually was, so when I started reading the book, it came across slow and boring. So ultimately, I ended up just shelving it. Looking back, I really want to give this book another chance. I feel like with the proper mindset that I could really enjoy this book, as long as I remember that it is written for middle grade and not actually written for adults. I've also had the urge to read more gothic type stories, and this book is definitely odd and gothic. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Tell me how you feel about DNFs. Do you think there are a couple on your shelf that could be worth a reread? Or do you think that it's never worth revisiting an unfinished book? Leave your opinions in the comment below. I'd love to discuss with you. Otherwise, I see you guys next week for more shenanigans.